Welcome back, everyone, to the Flyin Lion Podcast. We have another fun week, an FC Cincinnati win at home. Some great vibes from this game. I'm here tonight with Sam. Sam, how we doing?
Yeah, doing good, doing good. Two straight wins. I mean, we had put out the poll, like you had said a couple weeks ago, about like how is this April going to look? Because going into April, it was not looking so good. Um, Vibes are good. Vibes are very, very good. The boys are buzzing. And we've got Kelsey coming to the squad here in the next couple weeks, so I'm stoked.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, are we sitting at 18 points now? Second in the Eastern Conference. I think a game behind Miami, but they've had one more game than us. So,
Yep.
yeah, it's exciting times. So in this episode, we'll talk about this big 2-1 win against Colorado. We'll give you another good trivia question, card of the week, jersey swap of the week. We're going to talk a little bit more FCC2. There was some exciting play this past weekend. A little bit more about the Kevin Kelsey transfer info, and then we'll go into a preview of our next game, which is coming up this next Saturday in Orlando. So should be a good one. Stay tuned for that one in the preview coming on later on. But Sam, in this game going into it, dude, so glorious. Just unbelievable pregame vibes. We finally had a nice night for a game day, like on a Saturday too. So, going back to our primetime interview, for those who haven't seen that, go back and check out our primetime interview. But he had talked about, the vibes early on in the season and how the weather might have played into that. But we just had a beautiful night, and it was awesome to have, like, being there, watching. I don't know if you got the same feeling, but just being there was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seemed like the place was rocking from the start, right? I think it was not only because, it was a Saturday game, which was awesome. Beginning of the season, we had talked about those Sunday games were a little, like people were wanting to leave early because they had work or whatever. So having consistent Saturday games is always going to be good for attendance and the vibes at the stadium. But yeah, I think the crowd was just hungry to see their boys win at home, especially against a Colorado team that's been playing pretty decent prior to the game, and a Western Conference opponent that you really don't see that much. So those things play into it, and yeah, the vibes look pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, good point, especially with first Western Conference opponent of the year, and last year, how many games did we have against the Western Conference early on in the season? You get this game against Colorado, you're not really sure, how it's going to go, but building on at home, just from our game in Atlanta, going back home, and having those vibes right away. It was all created by a pregame sword pull. Sam, I know you guys and your family are big WWE people, so I'm going to let you shout out who we saw in this before the game.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not, I used to be, but but yeah, Angelo Dawkins, WWE superstar. He did the pregame poll for the sword, and I mean, I think you had said it, but I think he might be the best sword pull like we've ever, like one of the best we've ever seen. Like the energy was immaculate, and you had said he had wanted to do like a repull, right? Like he wanted to do it again. He was in the Bailey for like almost the whole game. It was awesome. Like he was really into it.
Well, yeah, I mean, to my point, I don't know if he necessarily asked, but I'm asking the question because he got us jazzed. Like I was ready to go. I was ready to, run through a brick wall. But yeah, I mean, he had the whole Bailey rocking, and then he joined them. He was on the drums for it too. They kept showing him in the stadium, and it would kind of pump up the crowd middle of the game. But yeah, let's get this out there in FCC land. Like, let's have a repull. This guy is going to be the first one to do a repull. I think that would be pretty cool, especially with him being from Cincinnati too. That kind of special, and with Friday night having the WWE SmackDown there at Heritage Bank. So,
Yeah, I was about to say, do we get a WWE event at TQL Stadium?
oh, that would be incredible. Can you imagine, like, middle of the pitch, just everyone's just crowded around watching that? That would be pretty special. I think it would
Yeah,
work.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, back to soccer, back to soccer. We get caught up into this pregame stuff. Including Sam, pregame. We see all the players walking in and some photos, and you're like, that guy looks different. And it's Lucho with some dreads or braids, whichever way you want to look at it. But man, Dread Lucho, what do you think of him?
Interesting. Interesting. There was a lot of memes out there on FC Cincinnati land. A lot of them were pretty good. But I'm here for it every time. Honestly, it doesn't matter. When he changes his hair, it's going to be the same result. He's going to be the same Lucho. And I mean, maybe he was looking for some more energy or something. But I think we didn't really do a poll on Twitter, but most of the people love the Italian Lucho, the slick back
Yeah.
Lucho is what
Yeah, I
we
put
were
out an
getting.
eras little thing, homage to T Swift with his different haircuts throughout the years. But I think Italian Lucho was, yeah, I think by far the most popular one. Um,
Paisan.
for sure. And at least in this match though, Sam, the opponents dreaded Lucho. Dad joke there. As we go on to the lineup, though, much of the same. The big question was, Celentano comes back to training. So does Can start? Does Celentano start? Do we go with the same forwards? We get Kubo, we get Baird, and honestly, it worked out well in this game. Everyone else pretty much the same. The big thing, and we'll get into it, was Yedlin in an early sub. So otherwise, the lineup is very, very similar to Atlanta. Coming off that result, I mean, Pat's going to go with what's worked. So wasn't too surprised. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, same for me. I was a little surprised. I mean, we had built it up throughout the week. Like, is Salentano going to be ready for this game or not? He'll for sure be ready for the next game, but I wasn't sure if they'd allow him to play this game, considering it'd be at home. It would be against a new Western Conference opponent. And think about you've got a storied big name goalkeeper on the other side, Zach Steffen. Maybe Roman wants to put his stamp on the game and go like I know you used to be the U.S. men's national team goalkeeper, but it's my turn type thing. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to play. Khan is the guy that they went with, and he played really, really well again.
Yeah, absolutely. He did really, really well. I just saw Zach Steffen coming out of the tunnel, and I turned to the guys that were next to me. I think Kevin and Zach were next to me, and I said, "When was the last time Zach Steffen played in TQL?" This is a little side trivia question here. Do you know what the last game was?
We were at the game.
2-0. Dos Acero, US
Mhm.
versus Mexico. Last time Zach Steffen was in TQL. Pretty cool that he was back and that we turned the page against him, in this game. So as we get into it, early on in the game, we had a second minute wide open header for Colorado off of a corner. I kind of put it in a little side note here as a sign of things to come because there was two different opportunities in the first half where you see set pieces or corners where their guy gets open. And honestly, Sam, that was about it from them besides one play where they, hit it off the post with the header. But yeah, that was the biggest thing that I saw from their game. And we knew going in, like we had mentioned before, the offense for them had been good. It's the defense that wasn't as good. So we were hopefully going to exploit that. So as we got into the first half, I felt like this was the best 30 minutes, 40 minutes that we had, of any first half. I would include the Red Bulls, even though we scored against them. But I just felt like the offense was clicking.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, to be honest with you, I thought it was kind of back and forth more than you think.
Yeah.
Watching it back, obviously we had a lot more chances probably in the first half than they did, but I felt like every time we had a chance, they'd come back with a chance. Probably every two chances, or probably one chance for every two of ours. I thought it was a decent amount of back and forth. On our side specifically, you were talking about there's a theme of like outside the box shots, right? That were
Hmm.
coming in the first half. We had put down, Kubo in the 5th minute, which was a decent chance. You just hit it right at the goalie. Always a theme with FC Cincinnati once
Right.
again. But
Right.
if you look on that same clip, you see Yedlin on the far side. He was calling for the ball. He was wide open on the far side. So
Like, oh,
yeah, but it
oh,
was a good shot. It was an open shot. I don't blame Kubo for taking that. But then you had Buka 9th minute, Orellano hit the post 17th minute, and then Baird 36 minutes. So like within this first half, we had a lot of different chances from outside the box. So I thought it was pretty solid.
yeah. I mean, and for all the shots, like those are the memorable ones. And like when I say like dominated the half, I kind of think of like better chances. And like they hit the
Yeah.
post, we hit the post. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Looking back on it now, like we did get lucky in some stances, like on wide open headers or, one that does hit the post. But you look at possession and you're 63% of possession. You have, how many shots did I say in the first half? Like over 10, I think we had like 14, 15 maybe. It was insane. So, going through that period of time as we get to the 16th minute, again, like one hits the crossbar, then 17th minute, we go right back down. And, we're looking at the guys that I'm next to, and I said, this is the most exciting back and forth game we've seen from FCC this year. Just from like a pure soccer standpoint, a non-biased standpoint too. Like if you watch this game, it was exciting. Sam, what did you see in the 17th minute with Yedlin though?
Yeah, I was hoping he was okay because when you see him, he's like off camera a little bit. I didn't really see where the play was. I might have had to go back and look at it, but um, he landed on his hip after being shoved, and then it looked like he was starting to limp, and I was like, oh gosh, and he kind of made it like didn't really run down the right hand side. He's kind of just limping towards the sideline to just take him off right away, and you see Halsey getting up right away and coming into the game there 17th minute. So I was a little bit worried.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this happened right in front of us, opposite of the Bailey. Him and Vines are battling, and Sam Vines is a U.S. men's national team guy that knows Yedlin pretty well, actually. And like you said, I mean, he blatantly gets shoved. Let's be honest; it was clear as day, right in front of the side ref. That should have been called. Number one, he lands right on his hip. I said probably a hip pointer. He's kind of stretching his quad a little bit, his hip flexors too. So, usually those injuries can. I mean, it's like a dead leg somewhat, and that is hard to kind of run off. I'd rather them be safe than sorry. And if Yedlin goes over to Pat and says, hey, look, I'm not sure, but I don't want to push it. Yedlin's been playing so well, against Atlanta in the first 15 minutes, had been playing so well. We had opportunities to exploit that side. So if he's going to be only half there versus a full person there, we want to take advantage of that. One funny thing happens with this that I don't know if they showed on TV, Sam. We get defending a corner, down by the Bailey, and Yedlin goes down and he sits down. He wants to get subbed out, and the ref goes, "If you sit down, your other teammate is going to have to wait 2 minutes to come in because of this new rule." So he like stands right back up and he's like limping around, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this dude's going to make his injury worse this way." Like this rule is set up to help players, but now they're trying to, avoid having our player out for 2 minutes. So it's creating opportunities that they can get injured further. It was a very interesting situation. So finally the ball goes out, Halsey comes in, and honestly does pretty decent. I don't know how you felt about Brett, but I thought he had a good game.
Yeah, I think it took him a little bit to get warmed up in the game. Obviously, it happens when you come on the 17th minute of the first half there. But yeah, I thought he played pretty well for the most part. Didn't really have anything notable that I can remember that really stood out, but he helped the play on the right side and did his job.
I thought in the decision for Pat, we love Alvis Powell. He's a big fan of the pod, but I felt like in the moment where we had wingers that were going to exploit the space that they were going to give us, you got to get Halsey and Orellano just running at defenders. And we see that with the right wing back. We see that with, Orellano. And there was a moment where I thought he flashed a Gareth Bale type run. I think I text this to you in the moment. He just blew by his right back guy that he was, one-on-one with, and just turned on the jets, whipped in balls into the middle. I think he had 4 crosses in the first half that I can think of that were in dangerous positions. Like one of these we're going to finish. It's a matter of time. The other one, he picks off a scrap that gets deflected. It falls out to him. He hits the crossbar. I mean, this dude is probably, inches away from a worldie at some point, which we've seen from Barrial in the past.
Well, and talking about chances in the first half there, he had a beautiful ball to Kubo, who just
Mm-hmm.
doesn't get, the right touch on it because I think Kubo was expecting the defender to head it or
Right.
get something on it. And Kubo, he doesn't handle it very well, but
Right.
what an extremely just pinpoint ball by Orellano. Just, I mean, kid's world class for sure.
I see a lot of talk online, and it's always funny to kind of see people's takes. And he had a great game, don't get me wrong, but the you know comparison to Barrial is always going to be there, and how similar they are, the age, the everything. And they're already like, is he better than Barrial was in a shorter amount of time? And I said, well, they're the same age, and we got Barrial when he was younger. He hadn't really played first team minutes in this setting. But for Orellano to come in and again learn a position and to do well like he has, I mean, it's impressive. And it just shows like, I mean, the last two games have just been like, wow, this dude is legit. He's for real. So as we build into that, 42nd minute, just Sam, second first half goal of the year. We get this awesome interplay between Baird and Lucho. This comes right after a situation where Baird hits the top of the crossbar with an open net. So we're all like, man, this poor guy is cursed. He made up for it, in this interplay with Lucho, very similar to the NYCFC goal, but closer, obviously in the box. A 1-2 situation, really good understanding between him and Baird. Baird does well to shield it off, leaves a beautiful ball for Lucho to whip in. We had the perfect angle from where we were at to see it wrap around the keeper. How many times have we seen him do it?
So many times, dude. He's now the all-time leading scorer of FC Cincinnati, and
Hold
I
on,
feel
say that
like
one more time. Say that one more time.
all-time leading scorer of FC Cincinnati, Lucho Acosta. Come on, right here. There we go. Right there. Yeah, beautiful. I mean, I feel like we've been waiting so long to say that, but I feel like it's almost been a reality. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
before he's even been the all-time goal scorer, you could have been like, somebody could have said it and you would have believed it. Like, yeah, like that makes
right.
sense. But he just makes it look too easy. This 1-2 with Baird, he just makes it look too easy. One time curler, just oh my gosh, just world class. I you can't really say much about that, but yeah, I think it capped off the dominance in the first half, and that's what we were looking for. Like you said, the entire year. This could have been, one of our best first halves that we've ever played, or this season. Um, but yeah, I think incredible interplay, like you said, similar to the NYCFC game.
He goes over, kisses the badge, says, "This is my home," knowing the moment, knowing like
Dreads whipping.
dreads are blowing in the wind, like beautiful moment. Fourth game in a row with a goal contribution. I think only one other player, and Vasquez was the only other one I saw, who's had, four consistent games in a row with goal contributions. So just unbelievable again from him. As we go into half, the dominance, what I said, 14 shots, 4 on target, 63% of possession, like almost felt like we could have come out with more. You go into the second half and you build again. Now you're attacking the Bailey. I always love attacking the Bailey now in the second half, to kind of build on this energy. In 64th minute, you get a great, again, interplay with Orellano, just cuts inside, very Barrial-esque, if we want to say that, or Orellano-esque, whichever way you want to say it now. The dude's doing his own thing, but plays a beautiful weighted ball to Baird, who just expertly chips it right over Stefan. Wasn't really expecting him to do that, but I loved it.
Yeah, an absolute cheeky finish by Baird. And to your point, he had the confidence to pull that off after everything that hasn't gone his way this season, that hadn't gone his way earlier in the game. Like he still has the confidence to pull that off because he's a very veteran striker, and I'm not gonna let that bother me. But the curse is lifted, right? We're done. We're good. It's fine. Like he's got the goal. Hopefully more to come. But I thought it was really cool that he has more, career MLS goals, 5, and goal contributions against the Colorado Rapids than any other club in his career. So if you were a betting man, this was the game. This
You
was the
should have
game that
told me
you
that
should have
ahead of
circled
time.
because he scores a lot of goals against this team. So if you were a betting man, this would have been a smart bet to have Baird on the old score sheet.
You should have told me that ahead of time. I would have put a lot of money on that, knowing that stat line. Sam, we just had great forward play the whole game, like consistently both
Yeah.
forwards. I mean, Kubo, unbelievable effort. Baird, and even off the ball stuff, pressing, like doing the little things, the interplays, the passes, like it just seemed to finally like all click together up in that part of the field, which we hadn't really had consistently. Um, Again, building on this 68th minute, we get this goal or no goal, and another little interplay. a pass through. I think maybe Lucho might have played Kubo in. I forget exactly who it was. Kubo dribbles around Stefan and puts it in, but almost felt like he paused for a second to, kick it in. We go straight to VAR. You're not allowed to celebrate in the MLS anymore, or World Soccer, I should say, until you have to wait. Are they blowing the whistle back? Is something going to get called back? More on this to come. I have more I have to say, and I'm going to say it later about this, but it was a very interesting situation that occurred through that time. And unfortunately, like 3 minutes later, they get a goal and capitalize on it. So very unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, it was well done by Orellano to kind of, like you said, explode into the space. I wasn't sure if they were checking VAR for handball or for offside or what it was, because I don't even think the announcers knew what it was, because they were talking like, oh, handball, but then after the VAR check, well, he's like, actually it was just because he was offside. And then you're like, well, okay, so what were we even checking? Because what you were or what we were looking at on even on the jumbotron was like the hand, and it obviously that's not what it was. So I know you're going to talk about this more later, but yeah, it was a weird, confusing thing, and it would have put the game away right then and there. 3-0, done. See ya.
We needed that. I mean, like, to have a dominant game where you just like beat the snot out of somebody at home, like I've been wanting just to say
Yeah, we
we
haven't
just
had that.
crushed them.
Yeah.
And if you get three, you probably get four, you probably get five, you know what I mean? It could have gone on and on and on, but they get one back, 72nd minute, another corner. And like I said, from the corners in the first half and with the headed chances that they had that were close, you had to have seen that coming. And I don't know if that was their plan, to attack. Is that something that they saw out of our defense in previous games? But got to be better communication in those set pieces, lack of concentration, if you want to call it, in some aspects. But how many times have we seen them just clear the ball out consistently? I never really get worried anymore with the guys we have in the back line that just head the ball away, and this time they get lucky. And I think Can kind of gets shielded from one of our defenders and doesn't see it and isn't able to react to it. But after that moment, we don't really have a ton. We just hold on, to our 2-1 lead. We get Bupenza that comes in the 91st minute, though. And again, is that another message to him on having to earn minutes with the forward play that we've had through this game, through last game? Like, message sent. I mean, Baird and Kubo have won their spots in this current moment.
Yeah, going back to the Colorado goal though, like I know you're super high on him for this game, but that was all Orlano's fault. Like that was
Yeah,
his man that he was marking, and he left him. He just left him as soon as the ball was kicked, and Yazga had to leave his guy, step out, but doesn't get there quick enough. And then, it's just a great header by, the Colorado guy. But yeah, I mean, Bupenza makes an appearance, 90th minute, and yeah, message received. Because I felt like he played really well when he was on the pitch. He had energy and wanted to contribute. So you know, I don't really know what
yeah,
much to say, because Kubo's having a great game. Baird's having a great game. Like
yeah,
I don't feel bad, but I feel bad, if that makes sense. We spent so much money on him, and he's a
right,
great player. We love his energy, love his vibe when he's on.
right.
Um, I mean, if he can get hot and look to, get a goal, like he almost had a goal from distance. I mean,
He
I'm gonna
almost chipped
gripe at it
Stefan.
because I thought it was stupid. Yeah, I mean, not a great chance. I think you could have ran the clock down, but he tried to chip the keeper. I think that was a little selfish, but it is what it is. But I'm glad he's shooting from distance again and being on target. I mean, if you want, if you want to say that.
Well, Stefan had been cheating out like all game. And I wonder if that's something from the coaching staff where they said, if you get the ball on a turnover or on a high press, like just look to just blast it over the top, And if it's Lucho, does he put it in? I don't know. I mean, Stefan gets back and it was at least on frame, is what I would say. But to your
Yeah.
point about, Bupenza in this situation is like 25 shots for the game, 11 on goal. 7 crosses, only 1 offside, which is the Bupenza special lately. Kubo with 7 shots, 5 on target, which is the most in a single FCC game in history. So how's he going to get minutes with like the dominant performance that we had, in that scenario? So maybe it worked out well with this situation with Colorado, but yeah, I mean, it looked great.
Yeah, that 25 shots that you had said matched the club record, right, from September 30th, 2023 at Toronto, which was pretty cool. And then we are now tied for first for the least amount of goals conceded this season in the MLS with 9.
Oh,
So I
wow.
think there's like 3 or 4 clubs, including Columbus, that are tied for the least amount of conceded goals with 9. So if we don't concede that last one, we're in first, because our defense has been very, very solid. So nice to see that the offense kind of woke up, but the defense is always going to be there, very consistent.
Yeah, I mean, great point. Great way to end April. We had all 4 April games that were 2-1. We were on the losing side of 2 of them, winning side of 2 of them. Kind of interesting though. April was like a 2-1 type deal. But yeah, as we look into the first, let's say quarter of the season, if you want to call it that, my trivia question of the week for you kind of relates to that. So how many points did FC Cincinnati have through 10 games last season in our Shield winning season? And obviously now, this year we're at, what did I say, 15, I believe? Or no, 18. We're at 18 right now.
18,
Where
18.
does that compare to last year through 10 games?
We have 2 losses right now in this season, right?
Correct.
So I'm thinking last year was better than this year. And if I remember correctly, in the first 10 games, we had 1 loss, I think, in the first 10 games. Don't remember when it was, but I'm gonna bet on that. So I'm gonna go 21 points instead of 18.
All right. 21, Sam says. Stay tuned to the end of the episode. We'll give you that answer, but we'll be right back with you. Hey, FC Cincinnati fans. We are pumped to share our new sponsor, Peak Cocktails.
I'm sipping on the passion fruit margarita, which is so spicy and it makes me feel like I'm on the beach.
Ooh, that sounds great. I'm drinking the Blood Orange Spritz, which has a great subtle ginger flavor coming from its scientifically formulated recipe to promote exercise recovery, enhance relaxation, and support a better night's sleep.
Ryan, that's exactly why I love them. Their cocktails are designed to fit seamlessly into your health conscious lifestyle, giving you the enjoyment of a delicious adult drink without the downsides of alcohol.
Guys, next time you are looking for that post-workout drink or an afternoon pick-me-up, grab a Peak Cocktail. Visit them at www.peakcocktails.com and use the code Flyin Lion at checkout to get 20% off your first order. Zach, enjoy your drink. Welcome back, everyone, to the Flyin Lion Podcast. We are here tonight recording on a Monday after a big FC Cincinnati win against Colorado. That means 2 in a row. Sam, we're ready to build, get a third one here coming up. We'll do a little preview here in a little bit. But before we get to all the good stuff, because the rest of the episode is all like good information, let's go to some cards real quick.
It's all great.
What things did
It's all
you say for your card of the week?
I didn't really have much for a card of the week. But what I did see was the fact that Matt Miazga had a really soft yellow. I just wanted to touch on that because I thought, Miazga was protesting a foul called on Obi. And even the Apple TV commentator said, he has a case for this one. Like, he's sticking up for his guy because it was kind of a very soft foul call as well. And then the referee, so Sergio Boyko, is actually known to give quick cards to the players. To, just doesn't matter. And I guess the card ended up being for poor sportsmanship, which I thought was a little interesting after all. So yeah, very soft yellow on Miazga, and I think that was the case throughout the entire game.
It was one of the first times that you see him, like, I mean, it should technically be like a dissent call is what it is, because the foul was on Obi, right? And he's defending his teammate. Obi gets there and wins the ball, let's be honest. But the reason why Matt gets a card is because, the MLS doesn't, or at least for this guy, I should say, this ref was new to the league and doesn't understand that Obi wins those balls fair and square. Like he legit wins it, but it looks like he doesn't, but he wins it. And Matt, I mean, comes over and had been yelling, I think, a couple different times, to the ref. But yeah, I would totally agree. That was ridiculous. I thought that in that moment, like that was pretty soft.
Yeah, I just thought the whole like explanation for poor sportsmanship was I didn't like that the reasoning for the card there.
Yeah. And so kind of going along with that, my card of the week is, so as we mentioned earlier, this VAR decision, the poor video guy who put up the premature decision saying goal. Yeah. So everyone in the stadium, the guy goes right over to the monitor, and within seconds of him starting to look at the monitor, up on the giant billboard, the largest one in the MLS, it says decision goal. And everyone was like, yes, we scored. Like they decided on it, but the guy's still looking over there. And you see the guy that's behind the monitor and he's got his hands out trying to protect people from like saying things. But yeah, so they do, I think, like a 4 or 5 minute check on this, and they say with the new rules, the ref reads out, what his decision is. Well, he's from Ukraine and his English is a little bit broken, and props to him for, saying it, but he's like, decision, no goal or something. Everyone's confused. Like you just said goal on the board. So that was a little bit interesting. I'm going to go with soft yellow with that one. It was just released way too early, whether that's from us, whether that's from the MLS and directing that. It was just a confusing moment for a lot of people.
I think that was in the control room. Somebody just accidentally hitting the button, like, I want it to be a goal, so I hit goal. I don't know.
The video intern for the week.
That's funny.
I think it was the video intern for sure. What are your thoughts on the having the refs actually like broadcast their thoughts or what the decision was?
Yeah, I think a lot more leagues. You see the NBA, started this season. Now the MLS is doing it. MLB did it 2-3 years ago, I think. So everybody's kind of shaping it around what the NFL does with their referees and them having to explain, almost every single call. So this is their form of it, which I'm all for it. I like it. But I think it goes with VAR as a whole. I'm very much of the sense of if we're going to have VAR, let's not have any human, interaction with it. So if there's video assistant referees, right, that are reviewing it and then they send it back to you and it's actual humans reviewing it, I don't like that. You're either going to go full technology or no technology at all. That's my case, because if there's human error into it, then it's just the same as a ref making the wrong call. So I'm very much with that mindset.
Yeah, good call. I think personally for me, it keeps everyone in the stadium informed, before you'd have to just kind of guess and say, well, I'm not sure why they decided on this VAR, but they said this. And then like maybe you would get like a review on the board, but now like there's no reason not to show people. Like if you made the wrong call, like you before would like maybe not show, like if there's anything questionable, but like it's out there on the table. Like they're telling you everything on like why and how and like, so, I mean, if they're going to do it, you got to get it right, and that's the biggest thing I'd say. So to your point earlier about it, like, was it a handball? I think they did a slow frame of him, like maybe hitting the ball, like, but he was trying to like, shield himself like from falling down to the ground. I don't know, man. It was just an interesting moment. But as we moved along, I'm wearing a jersey tonight. You got to be wearing your jersey for this one here, but jersey swap. Who you getting?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with the very first ever in Flyin Lion podcast history. I'm gonna go very first split jersey swap of the week. I couldn't choose between Baird and Acosta, so I'm gonna choose them both. So I've got, it's a little weird because I've got, Baird with the number 11 and Acosta with the number 10, so I can't really split it in the back, if you will, but maybe I could split the names. I'll let the comments try and figure that out, but Baird 1 goal, 1 assist in the game. He scored his first goal for FC Cincinnati, becoming the 7th player for the club to score his first goal this season, which is really cool. That actually matched last year's new goal scorers total. So we're already matching it within the first 2 months, of playing. He's been extremely hard, working hard the past couple weeks. Him and Kubo been very, very nice up top together. And then you move over to Acosta, like we had talked about. He makes history once again, game after game. He's now the all-time leading scorer in FC Cincinnati history with 44 goals. In this game alone, he had 14 shot-creating chances, most on the team by far. I think the second was like 9, maybe. I think that was Orellano. But plus the hair, he's in a new era, right? So Lucho's in a new era, FC Cincinnati's in a new era, and we're rolling.
Dude, I'm speechless. What stats that you had there? That was impressive. I mean, would you call it Bacosta together? Would you put that on the jersey? Would it be a
Bacosta.
Bacosta?
Yeah, I mean, Bacosta, you could go with Ocared. I don't know, whichever one you want to go with.
Yeah, I mean, so if it weren't for the guy down in Miami, Lucho would be your MVP. Like, I wouldn't say front runner, but he'd be up there. He has, I think, 9 goal scoring, creations with 4 goals, 5 assists now. Obviously Messi's putting out stupid numbers down in Miami. But I just felt like, yeah, Acosta's just had an unbelievable stretch here.
Well, to your point, as far as like MLS wide, I believe Acosta now leads the MLS in key passes, which he did. He now leads the MLS by like 6, 7, or 8. Like, I think Carlos Heel is 6, 7, or 8 key passes behind him,
Wow.
which is insane.
Key passes different than chances created too, but now leads both of those. I believe.
Yeah.
I believe. That's pretty special. I mean,
yes, a little bit
just
different.
again, sometimes you have to pinch yourself
to figure out.
Yeah. You have to pinch yourself like every time you watch this guy play because he just does something insane. Like how many moments again through this game did he just like dribble through 4 or 5 different guys and you're like, how in the world did he do that? So I don't know. It's just been impressive. Speaking of dribbling though, my jersey swap was Orellano this week. The Orellano game is kind of how I would say it. Like maybe you'd say Atlanta was him scoring his first goal, but I would say this game, I mean, he was dribbling at people, he was creating crosses, chances, had one that hit the post, had another that he played through for an assist. Like, I just thought he did unbelievable. He kind of left his heart on the field. Pat had to sub him off because he had been running all over, the left side the whole game. But we needed to exploit the wings in this game, and you had a guy that did that and did it very well.
Yeah, I think well done by Orellano. I just he was on another level during this game. I think there was the chance that I was talking to you about when he sent the ball to Kubo. He literally like dribbled around a couple of defenders. I think it was also the chance where Baird misses the open
Yeah,
chance.
You're right.
Orellano's on the sideline and he has to escape a couple of defenders to get it to Lucho, and then Lucho finds Kubo. I just like him and Acosta and other players. They're starting to gel, especially him on that left side has been phenomenal.
Well, and so you talk on that, like they just seem to have an understanding, like him and Barrial did, about where each other are on the field and where he likes to drift off. Lucho is a traditional number 10, but likes to drift wide like a winger in so many ways, and you don't really see that traditionally. In the first half, the one point that sticks out is, to your point, Orellano's on the side. He beats a couple of defenders. Lucho's hanging out way opposite side of the field, like where his family hangs out, by their bench. And he hits this diagonal ball. The defender's backing up trying to get it, and he puts it right over the guy's head, right on Lucho's foot, which he just touches right by the guy, like instantly. It was just like
always.
Are we watching Barcelona play right now? Like, it was insane. I mean, if you can get that like once or twice a game, you'll bring people in just to watch that happen. It was just unbelievable. And again, I thought all the guys we
I think that
mentioned
all
just had great
starts on
games.
the training ground.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and just building connections with each other. I know Barrial used to hang out with Acosta. Does Orellano hang out with him now? And this Argentinian connection, I would imagine they do. Um, yeah, again, just going back to this game, was very pleased with how everything went. Obviously, huge win. We keep building on it as we kind of look towards our younger team. Sam, the younger teams are building on their wins too. They're stacking dubs as well. So FCC2, wins in Atlanta, comes back home and beats Philadelphia 3-1 at NKU on a beautiful Sunday. Dado with the hat trick, just unbelievable to
Record
see him getting
attendance.
minutes. What'd you say?
The record attendance.
Record attendance too. Yeah, I mean, and so in this game, for those familiar, Kevin Sullivan, one of the Philly wonder kids, that's going to Man City here soon, doesn't play, but you see Stefan Chirilla come in and he actually starts this game for FCC, a guy that has 41 goals, on the season for his U17 team. Come on, man. Yeah, he's going to get called up. We called for it. He got called up. He was starting. You had a Dado hat trick. You had Steven Jimenez. You had Agato, Dado, Foster, all guys that had been in the first team come in and beat Philly, who actually hadn't lost prior to this game. So pretty special, for us to start stacking wins. I think we've had now 3 or 4 wins on the season, and we're sitting in 5th in the East for FCC2. So it's good to see them and Tyrone Marshall starting to pick it up down there.
Yeah, I think you're starting to see similar vibes out of the FCC2 team as you are with the first team. I think, we're in similar kind of trends during the season. And FC Cincinnati 2 is starting to pick up their momentum as well. They're starting to gel a little bit more. Chemistry is building because the guys are getting more familiar with each other. And super excited because, we're taking a looks at, the FCC2 team, and you might see one of us at the FCC2 games here in a little bit. But yeah, I think the more that people go out and support, it's always awesome. I know you had mentioned Yedlin was at the FCC2 game as well.
Yeah, cool to see. I mean, dude gets injured, played 17 minutes. You'd think all right, just be hanging on his couch, but was no, I'm going to go with several of the other first team players that were there supporting their younger boys, I think that's awesome. That's so cool to show their support. I mean, they go through trainings together and just to go watch competitive soccer. I mean, Philly's got one of the best, young systems in the MLS, if not, in North America. So, I'm sure they were interested in seeing some players too. So just cool to see, another win for them. They'll keep building on that. Again, like Sam said, stay tuned. We're going to have some content coming to you probably from some of these games coming up here too. Sam, I want to move on to Kevin Kelsey. We mentioned last week, still hasn't been officially confirmed by the club. I think he's still working on getting his visa officially, but we have confirmation from Laurel, from Pat Brennan. I mean, the dude's here. He's training. He's off to the side, not with the full team yet because he's technically not allowed to, but he's building his fitness up. I think that was the biggest question.
Yeah. I think we're just itching. I think we're just itching at seeing him going. Noonan had really described him as someone who can bring the midfield into play more consistently. Players like Buka, like Lucho, like, Kubo if he drops down, to kind of bring that consistency and that hold up play that, we had seen with Vasquez so much, with those midfielders and helping them out. And, then we go on the attack, right? So I'm really excited to see what comes of that, and get more updates on, him being involved within the team trainings once his, visa gets, secured and everything like that.
I know the guy doesn't feel pressure probably from the situation yet, but with what we had earlier on in the year and the pressure with the strikers and not scoring and consistently playing well, this takes pressure off of him that Kubo and Baird are stepping up, and this guy can maybe come in and get some solid minutes at the end of the game and start to contribute and build on that and slowly integrate than just to be thrown out right away and say, dude, we're kind of struggling. Go figure it out in a new club, new country, surrounded by all these new teammates. And he hasn't played, like you said, in 2024. So, I think it does take some pressure off, which will be good. I want him to hopefully be able to start practicing with the first team guys, though. Let's build some chemistry. I want to see that Lucho connection with him, in the interplays that we see. Real quickly, shouting about Vasquez, Sam. Columbus Crew played Monterrey this past week in CONCACAF Champions Cup in the semifinal. Vasquez had some good opportunities to score, hit the post on one, had another one at the keeper. Really pulling for Monterrey to pull out a win down in Monterrey, I think. So Columbus has to travel down there. Let's hope that Vasquez gets a couple goals against Columbus. We're always doing that. I heard a couple not so great chants about Vasquez in Columbus from this past week from the Columbus home supporters there. So Vasquez better be hungry and wanting to score. I'm sure he will be.
Yeah, yeah, always rooting against the Crew. Hopefully Monterey can get, on top there at home in that beautiful stadium. They put us away at home, so maybe they can put them away.
Yeah, for sure. So traveling on the road, though, I mean, we're going down to Orlando. Finally warm up here, and now the team gets to go and deal with grueling humidity in Florida. But match day number 12, Sam, away, like I said, Saturday night. Orlando just lost, unfortunately for them, 1-2 to Toronto, but good for us. I don't know how I feel about that. You get kind of like a bad loss in some ways, but Toronto's been pretty decent this year. I think that, all in all, and looking at Orlando's team and who they have and how they did last year, kind of an underperforming team, 13th in the East. They hadn't lost in 4 prior games, though, before this past one. So it'll be interesting to see how we do down there. I think all time we're 1-2-1 down in Orlando. Looking to just keep building on what we've been doing, stacking wins on the road. We've been able to do that well. I think we're pretty high up in all of MLS, maybe second, I want to say, based on our record on the road.
Yeah, I think last year, Orlando last year, they stopped us from getting the MLS record for most wins at home without a loss, right? And that was in September. So
True.
hopefully we come at them with a lot more fire because they took that record away from us. And that was a very tough game. Always a tough game against Orlando for FC Cincinnati. But yeah, I think this Orlando team, I think we're 2, 3, and 4 against them all time. So like I said, they give us a tough battle. And we're not, the track record there is not the best. So hopefully we bring the energy that we had the past couple of games into Orlando and we get it up.
Yeah, I think you'll see an excited club to, keep building on results. I think things to look out for, Duncan McGuire for them, 4 goals, the most on anyone on their team. Luis Muriel, a guy I used to follow before, was coming over from Atalanta, just added this year, 0 goals, 0 assists. I better be knocking on some wood, but the guy hadn't done really anything for them. I thought they had a decent team on paper, and after last year and how they kind of challenged us too, I thought they'd continue to put one more step forward, but let's go down and just kick them while they're down, Sam. I'm ready to go and just put in some goals early like we did, in the first half of this game. And I'm hoping, I think this hopefully should be it, but I think that Yedlin might be hopefully good to go for some minutes. I'm not going to say that he's going to start personally, though. I don't think he'll be ready to start on the road in a really hot atmosphere down there. Usually they have pretty good atmosphere too, but I think they'll probably be playing it safe and just bring him back another week from now.
Who do you think slots in instead? Do you think they go Powell, Halsey, Assad?
Yeah, no, good question. I think they'll probably go Halsey again, and just building on what he did last game. I think that having Miles Robinson behind him was just so vital. If it was Murphy and Halsey, it might be a different situation. But I like having Robinson behind him there. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Halsey's the way to go, especially after the performance that you saw this past game. Um, him coming in 17 minutes into the game, like I said, he did start a little bit. It was tough, but he really settled in and he provided a lot on that right-hand side. But if you want more, I honestly, we haven't seen Pal enough to be able to say, okay, I think he's ready or I think he's
Right.
fresh.
Right.
Because he hasn't had those game minutes. It's just been training. So, as much as we love Powell, I think Halsey's the answer here.
Yeah, I mean, like let the kid keep working and keep, working to maybe get a starting role down the line. I don't think, the way the team's set up is going to consistently be winning that, but for now and filling in, maybe later on in the year when we need him in tight moments in playoff races or Leagues Cup, whatever it is, we're starting to go to him more than I think we are Powell, which is a good point. I think you still see the same striker duo. I mean, wouldn't you say? I don't think they go any different after this game.
Can't. I mean, they had too good of a game last game and the game before that. You have to ride the hot hand. You can't mess up the front. That's honestly what I'm a little worried about with Kelsey coming in too, is
Right.
if Baird and Kubo continue to be this formidable, duo up top, and we're bringing in Kelsey. I know we want to bring a guy like that in, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it type thing.
100%. Yeah, for sure. I would definitely agree. And, we had talked about changing formations a couple weeks ago, but they're starting to figure it out. I mean, they're able to start exploiting things. I think, who knows? It was a funk. They're starting to come out of it though. I'm very happy about how we're starting to gel more, creating better understanding.
Score prediction.
1-0. We're going to win 1-0 down there. I think you're going to get a Kubo goal because he was frustrated that he didn't get it in this past game. Love the dude this year. I mean, this has just been the Kubo regeneration year. What's your prediction?
I'll go 1-0 as well. I was gonna go 1-1, but I'll go 1-0 as well. Roman Celentano takes the lead in clean sheets because he's tied right now with everybody else with 3, and he hasn't even played the last 3 games, which is incredible.
Good shout. Yeah, I think Roman comes back. Good call. I don't think you see any other changes. I don't remember anybody else picking up Knox, at least maybe the way it stands currently. Hagelin coming back in, or you keep Murphy?
Murphy.
Yeah.
Murphy. You gotta ease Hagelin back in. You can't do what you did to Atlanta, like in Atlanta. Just ease him back in. A couple sub appearances, probably the next 2 games, and then start.
Murphy rolled his ankle at the end of the game and I think got subbed by Kip Keller. So I think it was again precautionary and you bring Kip in. Um, we'll see how that affects, going throughout the week. I would be honestly
Yeah.
happy with him or, Kip or Murphy the way it is right now, to be honest. Orlando plays pretty attacking, just like Colorado had. But yeah, I think a 1-0 is kind of a good prediction for both of us. Hopefully we get that. Sam, before we go here, I want to give you our question again and our answer. So trivia question of the week was, how many points did FC Cincinnati have through 10 games last year in our supporting winning season? And I think you had locked in 21. Is that correct? The answer is 21.
Yep.
You nailed it.
Let's go. Come on.
You nailed it. Yeah. So last year they just were stacking wins. We had the one loss was to St. Louis, an ugly one, but otherwise, a lot of wins and 3 draw. I think it was 6 wins and 3 draws is what it was. And then the one loss. So pretty crazy to see,
I knew it was that one loss because it was an ugly loss, so I erased it from my brain. I knew we had lost, but I didn't know who. So,
Well, it was just crazy to me. Like, we're only 3 points off of what our supporting shield, like, winning record was last year. And everyone's like, oh, Miami, Miami. I'm like, they played one more game than us. If you
that's how
add,
so used to winning we are. That's crazy.
dude, it's insane. It is insane. I saw somebody's post online was interesting about how the MLS had, given maybe Messi an opportunity to have 3 more points than any other team in the MLS, going to the first part of the season to keep the interest. Then by the summer, by the time that he's out for Copa America, they play one less game and it evens it back up a little bit. But to kind of draw that interest. Dude, I don't know if we mentioned it, but my honorable like card of the week should have been like the New England Revolution scenario with the Miami. Like they were giving so many praises to New England, 65,000 people and blah blah blah. It's like, well, yeah, they're gonna go to show up for Messi. They're not gonna go to, they're not there for the revolution.
No, and I saw the stat or the graphic where it was like, oh my gosh, like the MLS sold out, 2 games in a row, in football stadiums in Kansas City and then in New England. And it was like, okay, go to Atlanta next and sell that out. Like you want to keep going, you go to the Sounders Stadium and sell
Well,
that
it's just
out.
funny how
Like,
they word it's like
keep
best
going to the
fans
football
in,
stadium.
they're like best fans in the MLS. And I'm like, look at how many people were at the FCC game against the Revolution. They had nobody there.
They
There's
throw
nobody
a
there.
tea party box off board as their pregame thing. Like,
It's true.
really?
It's true.
Really?
Yep.
Best fans in the MLS?
Yep. Well, I think hopefully after this week, we'll get another win. We're going to stack 3 in a row. We're going to probably, hopefully get up there, maybe to first. We'll see how Miami does too. But I'm like where we're at, right now is a good spot. And we're just continuing to build, and isn't that funny to say like how we're continuing to improve, but we're second in the conference, that's unbelievable. So let's keep building on it. Let's get another win. Thanks again for everyone for listening. Like, subscribe, go follow us on all socials. Maybe check us out at some FCC2 games here soon, and we'll see you next week.